What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today we're going to look at the Washington multiple playbook in college football 25. This is what I like to call the jet sweep offense. There's no other playbook in this game that has more jet sweep action than this one. I've done plenty of research. I can't find anyone that's got anywhere close. I'm sure there may be another one out there. I know Kentucky's kind of high up there in terms of jet sweeps, but if you like plenty of fake jet sweep, play action off the jet sweep, there's so much of it in here. I think 25 plus plays of all of that from different formations. Now, this is the Jed Fish offense. He was at Arizona for a few years or a couple of years, done a really good job there. That's a hard job to win at. Then he went over to Washington after Kalen DeBoer went to Alabama. Just a really good coach, and I really like this offense. Over my Patreon page, I actually done an exhibition game with this offense. I just kind of want to get a feel of the flow of some of these little mini series or mini schemes that it's in this playbook, and I had a blast with it. If I ever got around to doing a dynasty, I probably would start with maybe this playbook. It's that much fun. So we're going to go over the formations and concepts and play types and personnel, and hopefully by the end of the video you have a good idea of what this playbook is all about. So let's start off with formations. Notice you got single back and you got shotgun, and that is it. So if that's all you need is some single back, and there's not a lot of playbooks in this game that has a ton of single back. This one is one of the few that's got plenty of it in here, but the rest of it's obviously going to be shotgun. But let's start off with the single back. Let's start off with single back ace. You got 21 plays there. You got wing flex close. This is 12 personnel. Both of these are. Notice 88 and 87. Then you got as your tight ends. Then you got wing slot. Then you got bunch X nasty. That's our first 11 personnel or 3 wide look. Then you got tight Y off. That's another 11 personnel. And now we're back to ace. So when you go into these formations, you're going to notice this out of the gate. Jet sweep. You got the fake off of that, and you got the play action off of that. So you go over the jet sweep. We'll go up against something random here. And let's go over on the left hash. Let's give this jet sweep a little more room to work with. So everybody knows the jet sweep. Super simple. You just got to hope you get decent blocking up front. And that time we just didn't. The guy came right on through. A right guard or tackle just goofed up on that one. But anyway, jet sweep. If you can get the blocking on one side, you could do some serious damage. I know I'm doing this live here, so it doesn't look all that great. But anybody who's ran plenty of jet sweep in this game knows how powerful it could be. But then you can do your fake jet off of that. You maybe want to start off with your base as you do basic running with this. Give them that fake or that jet sweep look. And then in time, you can eventually go to that jet sweep. And then after that, either in that same drive or in another drive, you can go into that play action look. So we can go right here. We can call something random, something like this. And you got the fake off of this. Play action. It's a little slow, so you're going to have to be running for your life at times. And forgive me, I know I'm not making this look perfect, but I'm going against random defenses. They may be bringing everybody and their brother. Either way, if you're a jet sweep fan, I'm here to tell you there's tons of this because you go to these other formations. Guess what? More jet sweep. You go to wing slot. Guess what? More jet sweep. You go to bunch X nasty. You know it. More jet sweep. And it's the same thing. Get your inside zone, get your jet sweep, and get your play action off of that. And I like some of these play actions. They're just a little bit different. You got like, here's a flood version. This one's just a little more vertical, kind of hits everything on the back end. This one does a really good job of splitting safeties. That's a good cover 2 beater, that particular play right there. And then you can go to some other formations. Now, it may not show out of the gate of the first 3, but you keep on going. Guess what? There's more jet sweep action for you. So single back, what you're doing here, you're just going under center, you're running, play action, but you just want to do a lot of jet sweep with that. So now let's go over to the shotgun. Let's start off with wing tight Z. This is a 13 personnel. You got your 3 tight ends out there. And then we get into the base. It's going to be your 11 personnel. Your 1 running back, 1 tight end. Double Z close, tight Y off, doubles Y off, doubles flex, stack halfback weak, Y trips weak, Y trips offset weak, Y off trips, and then you got trips tight end. And guess what? Yes, it looks 4Y, but it's not. Where's 88? He's the tight end. That's still 11 personnel by default. Then you got spread flex weak. Now we get into a little bit of empty bunch wide, and then empty base flex. So a lot of 11 personnel, as you can see here out of your shotgun. But if you need to go 2 tight end, you go under center a whole lot. And there's more than enough there to have a lot of fun. But you go to your gun and you go through some of these, just kind of peek through and see if you can find more jet sweep, as you see right there. You keep on going. Guess what? More jet sweep. I'm here to tell you there's tons of it in here, and we're going to go through the other plays as well. But here's another little series of jet sweep. You go to doubles flex. You got a nice little Z action right there with that flanker drive. There was Stack Halfback Week, maybe had another one, if I'm not mistaken. There could have been, or it could have been Y Trips Week. All these 11, there it is. This is what I knew it was one of these Y Trips formations. Guess what? More, not jet sweep, but it's still pre-snap motion. I like this swing stuff. If you ever got your halfback going, you need to go him on the outside. You got plenty of that in here as well. Y off trips. Let's see, trips tight end. You got plenty of that. Then you get to the more spread set. You're not going to see as much pre-snap motion as you would when you get to your 11 personnel. So if you want to get in the shotgun, do some jet sweep stuff, you're going to have plenty of it here in those handful of 11 personnel sets. So there you go. Jet sweep 100 times over, just tons of it in here. I want to go over to personnel, and we kind of hashed over this a little bit, but we'll cover it again. So you got 11 personnel. Again, this is the bulk of your personnel groupings. Just a ton of it. Nothing fancy, nothing original. Like everybody and their brother loves 11 personnel, and this playbook is no different. You go to 12 personnel, you have more than enough here. So if you're a 2 tight end guy, there you go. But you also got that 13 personnel. If you got that third tight end, you want to get in there, do some running, especially on the short end type of things, your third and short, fourth and short type stuff. You have that right there. 23 personnel, that's your goal line. 32, that's your QB kneel. 21, that is it. So the bulk of this is 11 and 12 personnel. Not a single formation with 10 personnel. There may be a sub package in one of those spread sets that you can get 4 wide receivers out there. So if you need a lot of personnel groups to play with, you may not like this playbook. But if you're 11 personnel and 12, this is all you need, and there's plenty of it in here. So let's go over to concepts, and let's look at some other things that this offense wants to try to do. You notice the play counts. You got 57-ish runs, 33 options, 30-plus quick passes and things like that. As everybody knows, not every single play in this game is organized as it could be or should be, but it still gives you a rough idea. So when you go to runs, let's start off with inside zone. You got 24 of them. Yes, a lot of this is off the jet sweep and whatnot, but you still got basic inside zone. This is where your run game starts. Really no different than most playbooks in this game. It all starts right here. Jet sweep, it actually has its own little category. Not a lot of playbooks that even have jet sweep would actually put it there. They may try to treat that as like outside zone or reverse or whatever. But jet sweep, it shows there's 6 there, but as we saw, there's actually more than that. You go over to counter, only 3 there. 7 powers if you need a little pulling action with a guard or whoever. You got 1 ISO, you got 6 draws, you got 4 outside zones, and you got 2 actual sweeps. Think your tosses and whatnot. 2 traps, and you got a couple reverses. This actually is a nice little wrinkle to your jet sweep stuff. It's still getting your receivers the ball. Very simple way to do it. But again, it's all about inside zone and jet sweep off of that. And if you want to run a little counter or a little power, you can sprinkle that in as well. You go over to option. It's going to be a lot of RPO heavy stuff. As you notice, it actually starts off with RPOs out of the gate. So you got 8 RPO alerts. RPOs are really nice. I'm going to go ahead and select one. So like this one right here, this is under center. These are a little more pro ready in a sense. Honestly, this is actually a pro scheme, and just in my opinion, but very simple stuff right here. I'm just rating that right corner. If he backs off at all, I can probably go, and let me go make this easier on myself. I could put this on the right hash, and you can see the receiver or the corner a little bit better that way. So I can go over here, go quickly to him. Notice that corner was staying off of him. So that's an easy 5 yards. Plenty of that in here. Then you go over to 8 of those. You got RPO reads, 7 of those. A lot of glance posts, glance routes and such, if you're a big fan of those. I'm not that great at those. Somebody could probably explain to me how to better read those at times. To me, it's a little bit tougher than just like basic bubbles and whatnot. But you have 7 of those. You got 2 load options, and technically they're called speed options. You got 7 reads. You got those 2 speeds we just looked at. And you got 1 zone option, which is still technically speed. Then you got RPO peak, 6 of those. So as you can tell, the bulk of your quote-unquote option plays, it's just going to be RPOs. So RPO peaks, you got 6, you got 8, and you got 7. So that gives you, what, 21 RPOs? That's more than enough for you to kind of have fun with. So let's go over to quick pass. You got 5 Ohios. I'm a big Ohio fan. It's super simple. You just got to go on an out route underneath of some sort. Then you got 1 Omaha. You got 1 scat. You got 12 slants. Tons of slants in this one. You got 5 spacings. which actually doesn't surprise me when I first saw this. This is technically a pro style playbook in my opinion, and spacing is a common quick passing concept in most of those pro looks. Then you got stick, 8 of those. So it just kind of depends on what you want with your quick game. If you're a fan of stick, just use your stick. If you like slant, go with that. But they also got a little bit of Ohio as well. Let's go to medium pass. Plenty of stuff in here. So let's start off with mesh. I love mesh. There's only 6 of them in here or close to it, but there's different ways to go about doing it. I like the ones with the backside wheel with the halfback. Also like the mesh spot concept. I like to have 3 options underneath with that little set route, or technically the spot route, and those 2 mesh. But you got 6 of those. You got 11 drives. More drags and a dig underneath on top of that. You got 7 Salems. If you go back here and you look at Salem, it's just a curl with a dig on top of it. You go back here, you have 8 choices. Pretty much any pass play that has a choice route that's probably going to list it here. You got 12 curls. If you like basic curl flat and a little hitches and whatnot, you got plenty of those. 6 doubles. You got 5 levels. Levels is just more drags in a sense, a little bit, and a couple more digs as well. Shallow cross, guess what? More mesh, but with a drag or with a dig on top of that. And then you got slot cross. You got 27 smashes. That is a lot, and we all know smash is typically the most popular medium pass concept in the game, and there's plenty of it in here. You got 9 spots. Very typical. It's a pro style-ish playbook. So you're going to see a lot of spot. And you got 3 Texas anytime you see the little angle route by the halfback. So this is the bulk of your passing game. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of variation here. You got plenty of mesh. You got plenty of drive. Salem, you go over here to shallow cross. It all just kind of blends together, even a little levels if you want to throw that in there. But then the most popular one of the bunch is all your smash, your high-low read stuff. And then don't forget the curl. Again, just very multiple and how it wants to go about attacking, especially from the passing department. You go over the deep pass. We got 6 double posts. We got 8 switches. We got 7 comebacks. You got 14 floods. Floods, I like those. They're just a little simpler. I'm going to go ahead and just select one. Just go up against something random here. Let's go be in the middle of the field this time. Give ourselves a little bit more room, more grass to play with. So floods, I like those. It's pretty much one side read, so you don't have to scan the entire field. Go over here to the halfback. He's going to get hit. But either way, I love floods. Plenty of that in here, as you can tell. Then you go over to verticals. Only 8. But that's more than enough. I don't know how many times you need vertical. I mean, there's plenty of it in here. 3 daggers. You got 4 divides. You got 3 meals, and you only got 3 Portlands and 19 shot plays. So you should have plenty of shots. A lot of your play actions will be here, but it makes sense. What did we talk about at the very beginning? Everything starts with the inside zone, and you do play action off of that. And a lot of your play action is going to come off of this stuff right here. So plenty of options. Again, just a very diverse passing attack. You may not have a ton of one thing outside of smash, of course, but you got a little bit of everything, and I really like that, especially if you just need some diversity in your passing game. Of course, it says you only got 5 play actions, but we know better. There's a whole lot more in here, and we'll check that here in a minute. You go to screen passes. You got 7 bubbles. Bubbles is probably my favorite of the bunch, of course, and that's like my favorite RPO. It's just a simpler read. I like it a whole lot better. It's easier for me, at least. Then you got your flanker screens. You got 11 of these. That's actually kind of high, in my opinion, compared to some other playbooks I've looked at. And you only got 1 mid-screen. So when it comes to your screens, you got bubbles, you got flanker, and plenty of them. Now let's go over to play type and look at these plays just a little bit more differently. And as you can tell, there's a lot more passing plays and there are runs and such. So let's go to pass. Your quicks, you got 9 of those. You got 13 standards. You go to shotgun, as we know, plenty of those. But here's just the play action. You got 46 play action. You have to prioritize play action if you're going to use this playbook. There's just way too much of it. Now, the only downside to play action in this game, your offensive line can get eaten alive if they don't block well enough. Your quarterback will die out there at times. And I know in this game, play action can be tough, but if the blocking's there, it's a whole lot of fun, especially if you, again, like that jet sweep action. And those screens, plenty of these. This is where a lot of your halfback slip screens come into play, but those are the other ones as well, those wide receiver screens and whatnot. It just screams pro style / multiple. And I think the reason why they call it multiple is because they threw in all of the jet sweep stuff on top of that. So there you go. Let's go look at some runs. We got inside handoff. We got 37 of these. Again, this is where everything starts, especially your run game. Plenty of the inside handoffs. You got outside handoffs. This is where some of your jet sweeps are going to pop up. Then you got a couple pitches. You got 3 counters, 6 draws, 1 fullback run, but it's out of goal line. You got quarterback run. You got that fake jet pass power, which is nice. Again, more jet sweep. Then you got a QB sneak. All right, let's go overlook to option. This will be all your zones, your reads and leads and speeds, and there's not a ton of them in here. So if you are a basic option guy, this playbook isn't for you. You go to RPOs. Here's are the 21s we looked at. You got your reads, your peaks, and your alerts. All right, that is it for the entire playbook. It just comes down to what you're wanting out of this. If you're needing a pro-style playbook with a lot of jet sweep action, this is the best playbook in the game for it, and it's not even close, and I think you'll enjoy it. I know I will too if I ever getting around again, maybe trying a dynasty, maybe want to run this scheme or whatnot. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.